Hi there, it's Sarah from the Southey Way, and let's get started on reasons not to exercise part 4. This is the 4th part in a 4-part series of the reasons and excuses that we use to not exercise regularly. And if you've listened or watched the other 3, this is kind of almost a summary of those, because this one is about procrastination and motivation. These are 2 of the biggest reasons why we don't exercise, and they encompass all the reasons that we've been through in the last 3 parts. So, for example, we can use the excuses of time and tiredness and fear to avoid our exercise, and we use those, we procrastinate. There's all the excuses that we use not to actually crack on and do what we need to do to achieve the goals that we need to achieve. And at the end of the day, we all know that we should exercise. We should exercise to build strong, healthy, happy bodies and minds, to let us live our lives the way we want to live them and explore our true potential. So, procrastination and motivation are the excuses. They sabotage our exercise plans. They sabotage where we want to go. And before we know it, we've skipped 2 or 3 sessions, and it seems like, well, it's hardly worth the effort now. We might as well not bother. We'll wait until next Monday, or we'll wait until next month, or I've got to do this weekend, so I'll not exercise and then give myself a couple of days off to recover. And it's all those kind of excuses that lead us to not exercise on a regular basis. So in the last few sessions, I've given you a few handy hints, a few hopefully helpful methods to avoid the reasons for time, tiredness and fear. And this one is going to kind of encompass those methods into one handy little checklist that will hopefully keep you on the straight and narrow and enable you to get the results that you want, to achieve all that energy and life power that you get from exercising, whatever the exercise you do is. So the first one that we covered, and is just as important with procrastination and motivation, is get a plan. Get a plan. Set some goals, break those goals into tiny little chunks, and make sure that you know exactly what you're meant to be doing and when you're meant to be doing it. If you've written it down, you've put it in your diary as an appointment, you are going to succeed more than if it's just whizzing around in your head. Because when it's whizzing around in your head, it gets pushed out by other priorities. And we all have priorities in our life. We all have different things. We're juggling balls left, right and centre. We've got the home, we've got the work, we've got the pets, we've got the kids, we've got the husband, we've got the wife. We've got 101 different things. So if it's not in a plan, it's not set goal, and it's not in your diary, the chances of it happening are a lot smaller than if you've done those things. So I would say that is a huge vital step to avoid the procrastination and the motivation excuse. Number 2 is find solutions to those excuses. So, for example, if you know that you're not going to be able to go to the gym because you've got a doctor's appointment, or you've got a meeting up north, or you've got a child that needs picking up from school in your normal regular exercise slot, plan for it. Find the solution before it actually comes to the deadline of you doing the exercise. Because if you found the solution beforehand, you can then implement that solution and you will not have to miss your exercise session. If you do not find the solution before it happens, you will find all the excuses not to do it on that day. So, for example, if you've booked into your diary a session for, say, 8 o'clock in the morning, but then you realise that your child has got a club and you need to take them to school early, then you need to factor that in the day before and plan when that exercise session is going to happen instead of at 8 o'clock. So you need to then reschedule it in your diary for another part of that day to ensure that it happens, because it is part of your commitment to yourself and to your health that that session actually happens. So if you know that something is going to disrupt your plan, you need to find the solution and rebook that session into your diaries to ensure that it's still in there, still important to do. You still get the reminders on whatever, whether it's on your phone or on your computer or whatever it is, that you actually do that. So that's essential to find the solution. Sometimes life happens and you're thrown a curveball and you miss a session. It's important to realise that that sometimes is not your fault. We tend to blame ourselves when we miss a session. We should have done it, you know, and now I'm going to be behind, and what do I do now? So reschedule it, put it in your diary. If you can make another space free in your diary for that session in your week, reschedule it. If you can't, learn and move on from it, because there is no point in beating yourself up for missing a session. So just accept that that session is gone, and now we need to plan to make sure that it doesn't happen in the future. So we're back to the plan. Don't say, oh, I missed one session, I might as well leave it this week and start again next week, because that is a slippery slope. That is not following your plan that you set for yourself, for your goals, for your health. So do not let that slippery slope happen. Curveballs happen, accept it, rearrange it if you can. If you can't, let it go, move on to your next session. So that's really important. Find the solution before the event if you can. If you get that curveball, plan it back into your week, or just move on. Do not go down the slippery slope. The next one is get your cheerleaders on board. There is nothing bigger, better, and more motivating than having a person, a team of people, a community, whatever it is that works for you. There is nothing better than having that support group. The ones that say, how did it go? You're doing really well. You're looking awesome. You look really strong. I saw you do X, Y, and Z at the gym. That was brilliant. All those people, your cheerleaders, they're the people that you can use when your motivation is just taking a little bit of a sinking, or you're kind of procrastinating. Should I, shouldn't I? It's raining outside. I don't fancy going out. Don't fancy going for that run. I don't want to get into my gym kit. I'm cold. They're the people that you get in touch with. They're the people that you message on Facebook, or you give them a call and you just say, I'm feeling a little bit down. I'm not feeling the love for my session. Guaranteed, they will pick you back up. Guaranteed, they will say, but you'll really miss it if you don't do it. It'll really help you if you do it. You'll feel so much better on the other side once you've done it. Use your cheerleaders. Use your resources that you have. In the Southey Way, we have a members group, so that whenever somebody's feeling a little bit lacking in motivation, or they're finding that they're procrastinating, they can post it up and we can, as a group, support them and get them back on track. So use your cheerleaders as much as you can, because you're quite happy to cheerlead for other people. There's nothing that people like more than to help. And if you ask, they'll love to help. So use them. When you're feeling down, when you're feeling like, you know, it's just too much effort, you're too tired, you haven't got the time, get in touch with your cheerleaders. They will get you back on track. So use them. Right. The next one is have a trigger. So, for example, when you're starting out in a routine, it's a really good idea to set yourself up before the event. So, for example, if you're going to do your session first thing in the morning, put your trainers by the front door the night before, so that when you're going out the door, it reminds you, you've got to go do this. You get them on your feet. Or if you're doing the school run, get your gym kit on before you do the school run, because there's nothing worse than putting your gym kit on and then having to take it off without having done the exercise. Tell you what, that is not a good feeling. So get the kit on, put the shoes on, do your 5 minutes, get started. just get those little triggers on board. So if you're leaving work, you've got a session planned after work, put your gym kit on before you leave work. That way you do not pass go. You do not have to go home and resist the law of the sofa and the coffee. You need to, you then just can just go straight to the gym. No excuses. Takes out that sense of excuse, really. So give yourself a trigger. Think about what the trigger will be for you and use it. Use it regularly until you are in a routine, until you love to do your exercise and you miss it, then it's a really good idea to have a trigger. That follows on nicely to creating the habit, because everything is harder if it's not a habit. So if you're trying to do something new, getting into a routine with it is really important. So I would say choose the days that you're going to exercise. So if it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or you're going to do 2 days, 1 day off, 2 days, whatever it is, choose those days, set a time that's the same time if you can, every single day that you're going to do a session. Choose the same time. So you know, your mind gets in the game. It knows it's Monday, it's going to be a session. And then you get that routine established. And that is so important, because the success is in the plan and the routine. It's also in the enjoyment. So I am at this stage presuming that you want to go and do your exercise. You know the benefits of doing your exercise. If you don't, go back and do the fear exercise that I suggested in part 3. So I am assuming at this moment that it is, you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you know all the benefits for that. So this is just getting you back in the game. This is getting your head in the game, keeping you going, motivating you to do it. So remember, the success is in the planning and the routine. I would say the next one would be keeping a record of exactly what you do, and not just the exercise that you do, but how you felt while you were doing it and how you felt when you stopped doing it. And record all those positive feelings that you have. Write them down, put them anywhere, in a journal on your phone, in a notebook, wherever it is, just write it down. Because when we've been exercising 2-3 weeks, we forget how far we've come. Even in 2 weeks, you forget how much of an ordeal that very first session was. 6 months down the line, you haven't got a clue what happened on that first session unless you made notes. But 6 months down the line, you might have a motivation wobble. You might think, I can't do this anymore. It's too hard. It's too challenging. Looking back at where you started and where you came from when you started this exercise journey is one of the biggest boosts you can give yourself in motivation, because you will realise then that when you started, I mean, you could barely walk up the stairs maybe, and now you're running up all the stairs in your 3-story work office or whatever it is. You can measure if you've written it down. Also, when you're suffering from the procrastination and the motivation levels, reading all those positive feelings that you've written down in previous sessions can re-energize you and re-engage you with why you're doing this and the reasons behind it and how good you can feel. And that can be the push that you need to get you out of the door when you're feeling a little lacking in motivation. So it's really, really important, I think, to keep a record of all your sessions and how you felt about those sessions, all those positive feelings that you have when you finish a session. And the last one I would say, which has been covered in a couple of the other parts, is just start. It's really, really important when we're lacking in motivation and we're procrastinating, we're finding, there are tasks that happen when we're putting off exercise that would never happen normally, like emptying the dishwasher or putting the bins out. I mean, for goodness sake, surely what you've bought into, what you've decided to do, your plan is more important, is more exciting, is going to give you more than the dishwasher or the bins, because that's a 2-minute task. But if you're going to use it not to do your half an hour's exercise or your hour's class or whatever it is that you've chosen to do, that will lead to a lot of disappointment. So I would say put your kit on, put your shoes on, just start, do 5 minutes, because chances are just doing the warm-up, just doing something will energize you. And I bet you most of the time you start and you say, right, I'm just going to go, I'm going to do 5 minutes and see how I feel. By the end of that 5 minutes, you will probably carry on the rest of your session and come out feeling amazing. The other side is awesome. Just start, just do it, just get on with it. Do not listen to that 2-year-old that's throwing a tantrum saying they're too tired. They don't want to. They just don't want to. You know, you've got to be the parent. You've got to step it up. You've got to tell your inner 2-year-old to just do it. Just get on with it because you're telling it to. And that is the key. When you are really, really just trying to put it off all the time, tell that 2-year-old to just get on with it and do it. Because quite frankly, it is better on the other side. You will feel so much better. You'll feel energized. You'll feel vibrant. Your brain will be going. You'll be much more productive and you won't have to beat yourself up about missing a session. See notes above. You will not have to go back and feel bad about missing a session. You won't have to tell your cheerleaders that you didn't do it. You won't have to cross a line through a plan and say, I missed that session. If it's just your 2-year-old throwing a tantrum. So your motivation really comes from believing in what you want to achieve, believing in your end goals and knowing that every single session that you do contributes to those end goals. You need to set that plan, make those goals. You need to find those solutions for your excuses before they happen. Get your cheerleaders on board. Use them when you're feeling unmotivated. Use them when you're feeling down. Get your triggers in place so that you've got reminders to do your exercise, reminders to do your session, to develop those habits so that it becomes second nature. So it's something that you don't even question. It's just something that you do for you because you love doing it and you want to get to that end goal. And the one last one that I would say is as you're starting out on this exercise journey, it can be quite taxing on the mind. It can be quite taxing on the body as well. But creating these habits can be tiring. And sometimes as you're starting out, it can all seem a little bit much. And I would suggest, as you start out, rewarding yourself for each session that you do. For the first, 2 or 3 weeks, each session that you do, have something that you give yourself at the end that says, well done, job well done. Because it's all about us. It's all about us as individuals. And if we don't reward ourselves for doing a good job, that's pretty sad, isn't it? Have a tin, put £1 in each time you do a session so that at the end of the month you've got a little fund that you can do whatever you want with. Go to a spa or treat yourself to a meal or go shopping, whatever it is you want to use that money for. But you know that you've built up that, and every time you do a session, put £1 in, and that's yours. You don't spend it on the housekeeping or the shopping or the food shop or whatever it is. That's for you. This is your reward for doing your sessions. Or every time you've done a session, if you're training in the evenings, treat yourself to a bubble bath. One without any interruptions, one that's just for you. Light the candles, put the bubbles in, get some Epsom salts, muscle relaxants, and lock the door so the kids can't come in and pester you, and treat yourself. It will give you a good positive feeling as you're setting those habits so that it's a long-term thing, because we're in it for the long game. We're in it to be healthy for life. We're not in it for the short-term game. My only caveat with the reward is try not to let it be food or drink, because that's a bit of a slippery slope in itself. Don't treat yourself to a nice choco mocha latte and a big donut after every session, because believe me, that's going to add up pretty fast. But treat yourself well. Give yourself a reward because you're doing a good job. because you're out there doing the right thing for you. You know, you're going to get that life. You're going to live your life well and fight the health problems and recover fast and see your true potential and go out and start saying yes more to things. It's quite amazing what these little steps each session can contribute to you. So at the very end, if you're still not motivated to go and do your session, look at the fear exercise in part 3, because that list that you make of all the good positive reasons is your go-to. Don't ever forget why you're doing what you're doing. It's for you. And if you can't motivate you to go and do your exercise, to do what you've committed to do, the only person you're letting down is you. And that's not good, because you don't want to let yourself down, because you are all you've got at the end of the day. You are your confidence, your self-esteem. Anything that's going to affect that is not good for you. So just concentrate on all the positive aspects of why you're doing what you're doing, and don't let the little minutiae, the day-to-day stuff, compromise or change your plan and your goal for you and your health and your well-being. You're strong in mind as well as body. Remember, it's all about up here. We can change the body. The big changes happen up here. And that is the game plan. So get your plan, get your goals, get your routine, get your triggers, use your cheerleaders, stay positive and stay strong. And that's part 4. So I hope you found it useful. If you've got any questions, email me, message me, comment, and I will get back to you and answer any questions that you've got. And who knows what the next session will be. We'll see. If you've got any ideas as to what you'd like answers to, then post away and let me know. Good luck. Stay strong. This is Sarah from the Southey Way.